All right, welcome back everyone to the Dead Film Critics Society podcast. I'm here again with my friend Spencer Peck. We are here to break down some movies that we've seen together, give our quick thoughts, reviews, recommendations. Most likely, I think we both enjoyed what we picked, and then also, I guess, some maybe picks slash predictions for the upcoming Oscars ceremony with its many Best Picture nominees, most of which are not really in the conversation to win Best Picture, that's for sure, and then a good amount of them aren't really in conversation to win too many Oscars. But we'll talk about some of the big categories and yeah, give our thoughts on that. And but I think we're gonna go through some of the films we've seen together first. Um, some of which I have in a
Cool.
ranking list, but I need to add to. But let's start with the two films we most recently watched, which was Paths of Glory and Harakiri. Harakiri, I guess we'll start with Harakiri, I think. Kind of have to
Neither
get
of
the,
neither of which are very critically renowned or anything. They're just kind of ordinary movies.
yeah, new, you know, today. No, this was the last.
Nobody's nobody likes them. They're kind of bad. No, they were fantastic. Harakiri was, I mean, it's the number one uh, narrative feature on Letterboxd, um, and that's something we can actually talk about either. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that being the number one narrative feature, but it's up there for a reason. The story itself is very interesting, and it just looks so cool. I mean, I love all movies set, in a sort of feudal Japan, like that kind of era of that style. Always looks so awesome. But for me, the thing that I think was the most interesting about Harakiri was the influences that I saw it have on other movies. And so some of the scenes and the shots of the samurai fighting, it looked exactly like, you know, the precursor to a Star Wars movie. And seeing that kind of thing, seeing the influences that movies have on other movies is always so cool to see. So for me, that was the highlight of it. I mean, obviously, it was well put together, it was well shot. What it was saying some interesting things about honor and what that truly means. But for me, the thing that I got the most out of it was, precursor to lightsabers, and that's kind of awesome if you ask me.
Yeah, it's
What do you
something
think?
that, yeah, definitely like for a 50s movie has like impact. I'd say both of the films we end up picking have pretty revolutionary action scenes for their respective genres, being like 50s films. Um,
Yeah,
that I guess probably weren't even necessarily the largest budgets at the time, I would imagine, especially not Harikiri. House of Glory, I'm sure, was maybe a little more up there, but I'm sure I know there was like some films where they would just build entire like cities essentially to make films. So I feel like it, Paths of Glory wouldn't necessarily be up there, but there's a lot of impressive production design on that one. And yeah, obviously Harikiri, yeah, has the the feudal Japan look is always inherently interesting. But I liked its kind of framing as a storytelling device where it's like a story of a guy telling these guys a story. Um, and at first he
constantly like,
like
no, no, no. Let me tell you more.
yeah, he's like, well, first they tell him the story of like, it's like, are you sure you should be doing what you're saying you want to do here? Because, we've had experience with this kind of thing. Last person who
Yeah,
came here did this kind of thing, tells him the story, but he's like, oh, little did you know, I know the rest of that.
yeah,
Thank you for filling me in. I know the rest of that story. And allow me to take the stage and
yeah,
tell you the rest of the story that you didn't know. um, yeah, that part was interesting. I always like when a story itself kind of is a little reflexive and kind of comments on storytelling itself, and I think it was a really interesting device here. Um, to like kind of comment on the nature of storytelling itself and using storytelling as kind of a weapon. I feel like it reminds me of Frankenstein this past year. I feel like Frankenstein sort of did the same thing. Its whole framing was They're the
They're
both,
telling stories.
yeah,
Yeah.
Frankenstein, like Dr. Frankenstein and the creature were going to tell the captain their story, and whichever was
Yeah.
more compelling sort of would determine how the creature got off that
How
ship,
it went down.
or
Yeah.
violently or peacefully or whatever. Um, yeah, so I like films like that, and you can see how, like, I don't know if it directly would have inspired Del Toro, for example, but I feel like that kind of framing of using
Yeah.
storytelling perspective from the characters is a really interesting way to frame a movie, and that was definitely one of the most compelling parts of it. Alongside it
Mhm.
kind of commenting on the end of, I guess, like this era of Japanese honor, where like they sort of, you know, I guess, like, I don't know if they're necessarily blaming. I guess you could say the film's kind of potentially blaming either the people who started this trend of like basically scamming like lords and feudal communities into giving them money to not commit suicide on their property, or if he's just blaming the lords themselves for how they deal with it. But either way, probably both. But he is like, I feel like this film kind of is trying to mark a end of honor among these samurai, where they, I guess, maybe move towards the more modern organized crime maybe that Japan became familiar with, because I know that was, became a prevalent part of Japanese culture at different points in history, I believe. I'm not an expert or anything, but it, it's when violence became used for, I guess, more for profit rather than being a symbol of one's, only being used as a defending or symbol of one's honor. Um, because yeah, obviously, like, you see the, our main character, whose name I cannot remember right now, Yunshiro, uh, um, being in the middle of this, and clearly kind of being wronged by the Lord, the feudal community that he shows up
Mhm.
at the house. But he, there's no like crazy, he manages to kill all of them out of revenge. It's not like Kill Bill,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Although
Even
it
though,
definitely
like,
maybe influenced Kill Bill.
yeah, exactly. You could see where it could influence something like Kill Bill, but it doesn't have like the same storytelling approach. Because I guess getting into spoilers, um, we learned that his the man who first showed up at that house asking for to commit suicide on their property was basically his son-in-law, someone he treated as his own son throughout a lot of his life. Um, and he ended up having to, was basically forced to commit suicide with a bamboo sword, which is a
That was a
brutal,
hard scene to
a
watch.
brutal scene to watch. You know,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, it's like it's agonizing enough to watch someone commit suicide, especially by like something less swift than like a gun or like a weapon like that. To see it with a
Yeah.
sword, and let
This was
alone
long.
something that's
And
not meant to slice
and
anything.
Kobayashi did not rush through that scene. He really made you
No.
feel it. Like he
Yeah.
took his time.
Yeah, you really
Yeah,
see
it was difficult.
the pain on his face, and the effects are very well done. Um,
Yeah, especially for what 1962.
yeah,
Like it
1962.
was um the technology to do that kind of thing was not particularly advanced yet, and so I think the way that they did use effects in this movie, like having blood appear on the walls of things after scenes, and the way that they used the special effects to make the characters look like they were dying, was pretty impressive considering when the movie was made.
Yeah.
Like the fight scenes, obviously, they're not going to be as over the top as Kill Bill, for example. But I think if anything, you could argue that it was. I almost liked it more because of how thoughtful and well orchestrated the choreography was. Not to say that Kill Bill wasn't. I mean, that's a pretty impressive scene to put together. But it was like slow and methodical the way that the fighting happened, and I think that was a pretty cool way to do it because choreographing a fight of that caliber in 1962 with the equipment that he had would not have been an easy feat. And I don't think for 1 second did I feel drawn out of it like this is unrealistic. It felt like a real well, not super. Obviously, you have to remove yourself from reality a little bit. In no world is one man going to do as much damage as he did. But you understand what I'm saying? Is it still felt um, more grounded in reality than most modern depictions of samurai films will have you believe.
Yeah, and yeah, I could definitely see how it inspires things like Kill Bill and Old Boy, with those scenes, and I like how, again, back to the sort of ending this honorable era of samurai, they just kind of give up and they're like, okay, he's hurting too many of our people. Let's just get the guns out and shoot him.
Yeah.
No like honorable death by sword thing. They're like, ah, we just need to put him down like a dog kind
He
of
just
thing.
has to go.
He just
Yeah.
has to go. And I feel like, the showing of guns kind of is another symbol of like, yeah, men aren't gonna face off
The
one
new
on
era.
one. They're gonna, you know, more often backstab and treat each other with contempt, with, not much fairness in some situations, as his situation clearly very unfair. Um, but
Yeah.
you know, obviously, it doesn't really provide you any comfort for that. It just kind of has you sit with that and being like, yeah, this was a really
No.
unfair thing that happened, but uh, it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the
Yeah. It is interesting how you get that harsh contrast between the end of swords and the beginning of guns. And there's just no comfort there at all. It's just very aggressively you're dead. And that's the end of it. There's no slight gap, there's no real bridge that we're seeing. It's just line right down the middle of fighting with swords to dying from guns. And I think, as you were saying, it's a pretty interesting reflection on the end of the sort of honor that he's commenting on here. As you don't die honorably getting shot, right?
yeah. Well, actually, it's
Um,
ironic
yeah, I
because
think I agree. It was a pretty cool way that he did that.
yeah,
I guess you can die honorably getting shot, but
yeah. I
you
was
know what
about
I
to
mean.
say the next movie we're talking about kind of is about
Yeah.
dying honorably by getting shot.
It,
So
yes. Okay. Fair enough.
yeah. Well, that was a
But
different
in this
era
in
that we're
this
talking about. Yeah,
context,
in this
yeah,
context for sure. Yeah, I also like the scene
it's not
where,
as
yeah, it's not the same. Um, but the one where
I was gonna
he,
say it's a. Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
okay, I thought I lost you for a second there. No, go. You go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I liked the scene where, in the middle of the battle, he's like clinging on to the samurai armor, kind of like tarnishing it with his blood. Again, I think that's a very
Yeah.
literal depiction of like it kind of like tarnishing the pristine reputation, the honorable reputation these houses of samurai were supposed
Yeah.
to have. I thought that was
And
a
then I
cool
think
bit.
the the fact that it just ends with the armor being put back and cleaned off like nothing had happened is very reflective of how false this honor actually was, because they just at the end he's making sure nobody ever knows about any of this happening. It's all just a front. It's all just an act. And yeah, the armor is definitely very symbolic of that for sure.
Yeah. Again, another part of that storytelling comment where like the stories that live on are the ones that, the powerful tell, those who are still alive tell. This is very much reflecting on that, where like, the
Yeah.
story will be is that he just came and committed suicide, that there was like no other
Yeah.
details to it. And like the story of his, they'll probably keep telling the story of his like son-in-law, surrogate son,
Yeah.
the same way, not including any other details that he had remembered. So yeah, it's complicated because obviously I think it's like kind of trying to like reveal a society where there was like no other recourse for injustice, especially when the powerful wronged you or your family. The only thing you could really do, I guess, is go and try to confront them and then mess up their lives as much
And
as
kill them all
possible.
with a
But
sword.
yeah, but it kind of reveals also that like they still have enough power to be able to brush that aside. Um, even if it might seem suspicious. That oh, all these people of yours just got sick and wounded at the same time. That's quite convenient, but
Yeah.
who knows?
No, and I think kind of circling back to what you were saying about how the perspective of the story is through it's just individual characters telling their story. I think that brings into or that brings interesting questions of bias and if they're actually even telling the whole truth. Because obviously in movies like Rashomon that we've both seen, you have Kurosawa playing with what is truth and how can we like how can we believe someone's testimony and someone's story? And so I think there's definitely a similar sort of element of that going on here because do we know for a fact that the story he's telling to this court is true, or is he just in some ways trying to prolong his life because he knows as long as he has them captivated, they're not going to make him kill himself. And in the same way, is the leader of this clan or tribe? I'm forgetting the name of his name, but is he telling the samurai the truth? Is that really how it went down? Did his son actually kill himself? Because as we know, they're obviously going to misconstruct the story about our main character killing himself. Right. So did maybe his son-in-law end up doing more damage than they'll have us believe? What actually and so it's really interesting because they're using that form of storytelling where it's coming like we're hearing only their opinion that we don't know if we can really trust, and I think that makes it all the more interesting, especially when the ending is all about that. They've completely misconstructed the truth. Everyone's going to hear that he killed himself and a couple of their guys got sick, but is that really what happened? And in the same way, is the stories they're telling throughout the movie really what happened either? So I think there's also a pretty interesting commentary there on personal stories and testimonies and the bias that narrators can bring to these kind of movies.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. Like, and I think because I feel like I leaned more towards focusing, like that's definitely true. I focus more on the leaning towards like how the powerful uses storytelling to like influence and control, which I think is something that's pretty universal and timeless. Like you can obviously see
Yeah,
that, like, it's always been a battle of information, battle of stories of like what should actually be believed when it comes to, even obviously today just with world issues and, what governments say is the reason for what they're doing and the stories behind what actually happened when they took action, especially when they conflict, you know. These are the kind of stories like I feel like you keep in mind when you're reflecting on that.
yeah, for sure.
All right.
Yeah, all in all, I think it was a pretty cool movie.
Yeah. Uh,
And again, it also just looked great. Like I have no like every scene looked pretty cool and the sets were good and the costumes were great. Um, in no way did any element of the creation of the film take away from it itself, which I always think is an impressive feat when making a film because it's so easy for one aspect to be slightly subpar that then kind of pulls you out of the story, especially in a period piece about feudal Japan. And so he did a great job of that. Um, so that'd be another sort of compliment I have for this movie is how just well rounded it is. There's no blatant issues in any real aspect of the movie, at least in my opinion.
yeah, I think you can like see why it's number one on Letterboxd, even if we probably both don't agree necessarily that it should be there. I don't think it'll even be at either of our top of our list for the things we've seen together.
Yeah,
So, um, you know, that's not a bad thing inherently, obviously, but still a very good, very interesting movie, very worth checking it out.
yeah,
It's not too long either compared to like some other stuff that's really high on the list can get pretty long. So I'd say it's
yeah, like
definitely worth
Seven
checking out
Samurai or
any time. Yeah, Seven Samurai, even The
yeah.
Godfather's a bit.
I mean, the Human Condition is quite long too. Those are not
Yeah, the other
Kobayashi does
films
not make brief
by this
movies.
director. Yeah. All right. I guess we can go ahead, give it a score, and move on to the other movie. I gave it a 9 out of 10, 4.5 stars on
Yeah,
Letterboxed.
I would say I'm in the same spot there. 9 is pretty solid. Um, maybe yeah, 8.5 to 9 is where I would say it sits at for me. Probably
Yeah,
closer to 9.
right.
But yeah, overall incredible movie.
All right. We're gonna talk about Paths of Glory, a 1957 movie by Stanley Kubrick. This one is shorter.
Yeah.
It's at clocks in at 88 minutes, so it's an efficient watch, but it's also a very efficient movie at, you know, being an effective storyteller. Um, yeah, about Kirk Douglas as this colonel who has to defend three people who are being put on trial by the French army in 1916 for failing to continue to march forward during an offensive that occurs. Obviously, there's a lot more to the beginning of that premise. There's like every scene's obviously very important because you kind of have first um, the scene of the generals talking to each other, um, where one of them is like offering the other the opportunity to get this medal um, for this really hard, position to take. So he's like, oh, at first he's like, it'll cost too much, but then he's like, oh, but you know what, the medal, you know what, actually, I think we can do it. Is basically what he, says. It's like he's clear he's not really thinking about the people. He's thinking about his own honor.
Yeah.
Um, and then
Yeah.
things go wrong. And then we get like a sort of a sub story in between that where the three scouts that go before the night
Yes.
before the attack. There's an incident where the commanding officer of the three uh, gets kind of afraid, assumes that his fellow soldier is dead, throws a grenade, and then just runs. Uh,
Ends
only
up
for
killing him.
only for his colleague to discover, oh yeah, he just killed our own soldier and didn't get anything accomplished and ran away, which is obviously again a very big tarnish on his honor. So then when it comes to the offensive that goes wrong, the general wants someone punished. He's like, oh, they embarrassed me basically, so now three of them some of them have to die. Because first he's like, yeah, 100 men should die because of this, and they kind of talk him down to like, okay, three people, and so then like each smaller commanding officer within, I guess, the divisions of this battalion go up, and of course the guy who witnessed his commanding officer kill the other guy gets put up because it's like, oh, you're the reminder of my dishonor, and so yeah, you're going up, and
And you'll die for it.
you'll die for it. Um, I guess getting to spoilers, this is another movie where they really don't provide you any like, oh, this bad thing is going to happen to good people, but something is going to come in the way to save them. They don't do that. Uh,
Mhm.
there's I guess, basically a kangaroo court, not very more a symbolic court happening where they just want to quickly get it over with. Because I guess basically by
Yeah.
the general wanting them charged, and the fact was obviously they didn't do the offensive, but that's because none of the none of the
They
other
couldn't.
people were, and none of them wanted to die.
Yeah.
It wasn't working. Um, so Kirk Douglas just happens to be a lawyer, and he tries to give a very good speech and very good defense for his soldiers, but doesn't work out. And
I
they
think he
do
did give a pretty good defense too.
pretty
But
good defense. He has some time to give some really good speeches, but they don't work.
but he was talking to a brick wall.
Yeah, basically, he's talking more to us than the uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Under
actual
the
people in the court.
actual judges.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they do end up killing those three. One of them, who was like kind of picked because he was a social
Basically dead
outsider,
anyways.
a bit socially awkward, and another one because he just happened to be unlucky. They just drew lots, cast
Yeah.
lots or whatever, and yeah, and so well they killed him, and yeah, I mean it's just I like how it's a very it does a lot of things in the war genre that I feel like most war films still don't try to replicate, where it's very contained. It's basically just about one battle and its aftermath. It doesn't really get into anything else.
Yeah. It's not
You
about
know,
one battle after another. It's just about the one.
no, it's just about the one battle and the after. There's no another. It's
Yeah.
just one battle after, comma after.
Yeah. One battle and after. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
And I think
obvious. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe one of the most powerful scenes of the movie is that last scene where, everything's gone down. The three guys have been shot and they're sitting in the bar. And that German girl comes up on stage and starts singing. And they all just are just hit with that realization, what are we even doing all this for anyways? And so I think that scene is just so incredible, because it really pulls everything together of what you've just witnessed in the trial going down, and then realizing at the end of the day these are all just people on both sides of the conflict. And they sing music too. We have the same songs, we sing the same things, we look the same. We're all still people, and yet we're killing each other. And then the cycle repeats because he gets an order. Your guys have to go back out to war, and so out they go again. And inevitably this is just a never ending cycle that just keeps going and going and going. And so I think that last scene is so powerful because it's really the most anti-war part of the movie. Obviously every element is pushing back against conflict and war, but that last scene in particular is just such a strong reminder that we're all just people, and we're fighting each other regardless. And so I think that was maybe my favorite scene, is that reminder that you know we have the same songs, and that's just such a powerful way of not like violently being anti-war. Because so many movies, when they're trying to show you the horrors of war, it's very violent, it's very in your face, it's very aggressive. What I think is so powerful about this movie is that that's not the case. I mean, obviously we see people die, but not we don't see huge battalions get massacred. We don't see violent, uh, you know, like very gory kills or people dying in upsetting ways. It's more just the effects of it that are devastating, and that's what I think makes it so powerful. Is that anybody can watch this movie. You could show this to a 15-year-old, and you wouldn't have to worry about it being too violent or too um, in their face, because it's not. I mean, it was made in what, like 1950,
Seven.
1957?
Yeah.
Like that is a long, like he didn't have really the technology to do some of those things. And so I think that is why it is ultimately so powerful and so timeless, is because it's not super violent and yet it's still so powerful.
Yeah. Like I feel like this is the kind of thing that I think you definitely show in history to kind of show. Like I feel like it's a very good combination of like your basic history of like this is kind of like it shows, you know, pretty honestly what war is like in a lot of ways. Like the trenches, the disease, the shell shock. They have characters. Some of it's almost played for laughs because in some ways it is like kind of satirized because the general character is so kind of, gung ho on making
Mm-hmm.
on getting this honor for himself and pushing forward, that like these interactions with these regular soldiers where he's trying to pretend like he's like this everyday, he's just one of them, he's just another soldier kind of moments, but
Yeah,
then he's like, oh, you're shell shocked, oh, that's cool, okay, let me just keep walking. Let me
yeah,
not think about that too much, kind of like a moment like that where he's kind of trying to ignore it. Yeah, those are the moments that like really do stick with you because yeah, you see also like how much influence the powerful have over the lives of so many
yeah,
people. And like yeah, they kind of condense it down to just these three people where it's like yeah, none of them are dying justly, especially that one guy who was put up because his commanding officer wanted to make sure that the reminder of his mistake and the potential testimony to his mistake that saw him kill and
yeah,
cowardly run away, will never speak again. Yeah, because again, it's just about honor and kind of like all the human sacrifices that go towards supporting men's honor. Kind of, it very much shares. that in common with Harakiri about how the powerful will sacrifice and change the story of people to, have, to maintain their honor, to be seen in a good light, even though it's like those things should be paling in comparison to the value of the human lives at stake, but you know, that's not exactly what happens. Um,
Yeah, for me, one other thing I think is particularly interesting about how this war movie portrayed the loss of lives is that in traditional war movies you have the good guys versus the bad guys, right? The Allies versus the Axis. You have the British versus the Germans, whatnot, that sort of thing. And in this movie, of course, it's the French versus the Germans. There's no denying that. That's what this conflict is about. It's World War One. And you'd always expect the people, the worst of the worst, the bad guys, to be the ones you're fighting against. Those are the people who are killing us. That's where we're losing the lives. But this movie really makes you reflect on the fact that it's not just the Germans who are the bad guys. It's us too. Like our officers, our commanding officers, our the military captains. They also have as much of a disregard for our life as the Germans do. And in fact, in some cases, maybe even less, because the soldiers fighting on the German side, they don't necessarily want to be fighting either. We can assume that this same sort of thing is happening for them as well. And so it's just such a powerful commentary on the loss, the unnecessary loss that takes place during war, and how not even our own leaders necessarily are looking out for us in the way that we'd like to think they are. Especially since, look, he wanted to originally kill 100 of his own people, and then there's that scene of him trying to send the troops in, just run in, and the radio man's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to kill all these people. And so you're realizing that it's their own captains who want them to die. So I think that's pretty powerful
yeah,
and unique in the way that he portrayed it.
yeah. I mean, he definitely, I feel like, this writing team definitely hammers up how kind of maniacal and dislikable. Like, I think in reality, most of the time, like a general's ambition would be a little more complex. Like the fact that he says to the bombers, basically, yeah, shoot our own trench, please and thank
Yeah,
you. I ain't even gonna sign anything. Just, yeah, hear my call. Yeah, you hear this voice? Yeah, shoot your own people. And it's like, you know, they're like completely aghast at that idea, for obvious
yeah.
reasons. So, um, I just want to point out how the technical elements of this film are like really well done. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
being at
They're
88
incredible.
minutes, it's obviously
Yeah.
edited. You know, the scenes are very well written. I'm assuming a lot of this has to do with the writing, but obviously it's cut, you know, to be very efficient. The cinematography, like the long takes on this film, are extremely impressive, especially for
Mhm.
1957. I think any like
And
if like I don't think this would even be that much smaller of a budget, but I think any film released today that had these same technical elements would be considered a very impressive film still. And this is from like now almost 70 years ago, which is kind of insane to think about how how much change in technology has come, but like this is still such an effective technical movie. All the special effects and things are really well done. The steady cam work is extremely impressive, especially combined with the effects. Like it's doing the stuff that like 1917 did that was so
yeah,
impressive back in 2019, but like at a smaller scale to some extent. But like
like
it
70
it, it
years later.
arguably does a lot of it more effectively. Like it's
Yeah.
very
I
it's very well done.
The budget was about 900,000 US when it came out, um, which is about 10 million today. So it's about a 10
That's
million
insane.
dollar budget. And you want to know something pretty crazy too? Apparently, Kirk Douglas, he took a third of the budget. He got paid $350,000 for his role. So
Damn.
in today's money, he would have taken 3.5 million home for that. So they only had 600,000 afterwards to actually put this movie together. And like some of those war scenes where the bombing is happening and they're going through the
Yeah.
trenches, like it looks as good as 1917. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's black and white, but it still looks good. Like yeah, and he's 28 years old. He's 28 when he did that.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. Like I
Stanley
don't
Kubrick was 28 years old. That's madness.
yeah. I mean obviously this is like obviously a lot of films like kind of testify why Kubrick is held in such high regard as a filmmaker. I've seen almost all of his top 8 movies now. Still have. I've also seen Full Metal Jacket. That's like the. I feel like this is the most famous one I haven't seen yet.
Yes.
All the other ones are kind of a little more, I guess, niche, like or his like very starting film,
Yeah,
or
like
Spartacus, which he didn't really
Killer's
was apparently a for hire gig. He
Kiss.
didn't. Yeah, Killer's Kiss or The Killing,
Yeah.
Lolita, which is its own can of worms.
I would be
Being
scared to watch that. Yeah.
yeah, 3.4, 2.5 hours too
Interesting.
of your time. That's a bit crazy. Um, but yeah, obviously, like his top 8 movies are all basically stone cold classics, and this is the least popular of them,
Yeah.
but it's still, you
And
know,
and one of the best.
yeah,
I
it's
think this
definitely
clears
one
The
of the
Shining, and
best.
I think this clears Clockwork Orange by
Yeah,
miles. I'm not a
right.
Clockwork Orange fan, but
That's
um,
fair.
I don't know how I would say it fares to Space Odyssey because Space Odyssey. I
It's
know you're
better than
not a
Space
Space Odyssey
Odyssey.
guy, but it's so groundbreaking in what he did. Again, a testament to his ability um, to to just change the way genre approach like the genres are made and change the way films are made. So even if you don't like the movie, at least I hope you can recognize its importance. Um,
Yeah, you know, so it's important the same way an old piece of paper is important. It was, or like the printing
wow.
press. I don't know. Not that cool today, but
Yeah, but the printing press completely changed everything.
yeah,
I
well, it did. Doesn't mean I have to
think
love that.
it's
If I had that printing press in front of me, doesn't mean I'm going to think it's that impressive.
okay, fair enough. But
More like what it
I still think
symbolizes,
that it's I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
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 I think that it again, it's a classic. There's no
yeah.
denying that.
Maybe one day I'll watch 2001 in
But no, I
theater.
think Paths of Glory is that's how you need to see it. I really want that to happen as well. I want to do that. It's just yeah. Maybe when he like when on like the anniversary of one of his deaths or something, a random theater will play a bunch of his movies.
Yeah,
But it's just so long, so I understand why it's so hard to get through.
yeah,
And that's what's so good about Paths of Glory is that it's 88 minutes.
yeah,
It's not long. It's very approachable. That's less than 2 hours. You can get through that super quick, and yet it's still so powerful. But yeah, I was very impressed. I didn't expect to like it as much as I was going to, so that's always a fun feeling.
yeah. Um, yeah, it's definitely it's like probably top two Kubrick for me, maybe number one.
Oh, I said, what's your rating? Your final thoughts on Paths of Glory?
Yeah, I gave it also a 9 out of 10. I think it's higher than Harakiri though. Um, but
Yeah,
another 4.5 star. Very good movie.
yeah. I see. I'm between 9.5 and 10. I think it's incredible. Uh, I think that I mean I'm very willing to give out 5, 10 stars to movies in ways that I don't think you are as so inclined. Um, but no, I think it's brilliant. I think it's done. It's made well. It's good performances. He made use of a smallish budget. It's saying a whole lot, and to me, that's kind of a perfect movie. So I think it's brilliant, and
Yeah,
I'd recommend it to anybody in a heartbeat. In fact, maybe one day when I'm teaching, I can hopefully show it to my students.
yeah,
Although it might be a hard sell being black and white in like 2040. They'll run
yeah,
it through their their what's it called, virtual reality headsets while we're all in our VR classrooms.
yeah. Who knows what that'll look like? Um, One last interesting thing I wanted to point out how Jim Thompson, the hard-boiled crime fiction novelist, was one of the co-writers on this movie. He only had ever 2 writing credits on movies, which was this one and The Killing that Stanley Kubrick did the year before. So it's interesting that, you know, I feel like his contributions are felt to some extent. Yeah, I think this is definitely one of the sharpest written Kubrick movies, even though like Kubrick isn't like obviously talked about as a writer as much, but all of his like top eight most beloved movies were written by him. So it's always,
Yeah.
you know, as like a cool part. You know, he is a talented writer, obviously, and he obviously had some talented writing teams at different points as well. All right,
Yeah, pretty impressive filmmaker.
I guess we
Creepy looking guy
can,
though.
yeah, let's move on to before we talk about the Oscars, maybe the one other film that we've both seen separately. We were thinking of trying to see it, but I think it worked out, I think,
Yeah.
for the best. I think you got the best experience you could possibly get at this point for
Yeah.
seeing it for the first time. Um, I feel like I've gotten multiple of the best experiences you can have seeing it,
Yeah.
which
You've
I'm
seen
very
it a
happy
few
about.
times,
I've seen
maybe.
it a few times. We're talking about Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie directed by Matt Johnson. Premiered at South by Southwest last year, came to TIFF for international, well, second premiere, Canadian premiere of the movie. Um, Big homecoming moments. Obviously, everyone there was very excited for a movie very much set in Toronto and featuring Toronto landmarks, and
Yeah.
it's very unapologetic about
That's
that.
awesome. Yeah.
No, it's a crazy movie, and it's a crazy good movie, I'd say. And I just want to hear it fresh from you, just your thoughts, some of your thoughts about this movie, because I've seen it so many times, but I always like to hear more things
Yeah. I
about
mean,
how people think about it.
yeah. Um, I mean, one of the things that I love about it is just how like authentically Canadian it is. I mean, um, the streets that they're going up and down, the McDonald's on Queens, even the Rivoli, these are landmarks that you and I and many of us have walked past dozens of times in our trips to Toronto as kids, as teenagers, as adults. Like these are all locations we're so familiar with. Um, so sitting in a theater at Cineplex, surrounded by 55 people, all getting to watch this, people who all know these like locations, people who know all these things, that's pretty cool. Um, one thing that was actually really funny about seeing it in Ottawa is there's a joke in the movie about
Yeah,
how he wants to go play at the
the
Lafayette,
Lafayette in Ottawa.
and
Yeah,
that's a bar that I've been to on numerous occasions. Like I know that
right,
place, and so that joke got one of the biggest laughs in the theater that I
right.
imagine would have been missed on some other audiences
Yeah, definitely wouldn't have been as much laughing
in
at but I
Toronto,
think it
and
was just funny how ignorant he is about Ottawa. Jay's character in the movie, he's like, how long? Where is it? Where is Ottawa? How long does it take to get
yeah,
there?
no, and it's funny because it's true. Nobody really even knows where Ottawa is, and many Americans don't even know that Ottawa is the capital of Canada.
It's true. Yeah.
For goodness sake, but um, that was a great bit, and it just got such a good reaction. When we're literally 15 minutes away from the Lafayette.
Yeah.
You know, uh, so that was really cool. That was a funny bit because I am in Ottawa. Um, but no, and all the Back to the Future stuff. I mean, Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies. Uh, it's so good, and so it was so funny. All the stuff they were doing with it, how it literally was just on the TV. Like I ended up going and watching something later about how he got around the copyright for all that, and
Yeah.
it, very interesting and just pretty clever too that they were able to be so influenced by Back to the Future yet not have it feel the same.
Hmm.
Like it obviously they were copying it, but it didn't feel like they were just cut and pasting. They made it their own with the Orbeez and or the orbits, and um, yeah, it was very funny, very good. And I just think that those two guys have such good chemistry. I mean, they're just so clever. They're so good together, and the fact that they're actually using scenes from 2008 when they were younger is such a unique and innovative way to make a movie it's just I'm so glad that they were rewarded in the way that they did this, and they deserve all of the credit that they're getting for it because I mean, waiting 17 years, you know, that is that's an impressive feat.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, they didn't record those scenes with the thinking that they would like do a time travel
Yeah.
bit for the same show. Like they just had recorded that. And their editors had gone through all this footage they'd shot in 2008, and basically they said they wrote that part for them. So they like wrote how this interaction could work out and be like sort of logistically pulled off so that they could actually go and do it. Which is yeah, it was really cool to see and hear about. Because I mean, yeah, like basically every scene in this movie has an insane anecdote about how exactly they did it. Like the the scene where the well scenes where like he goes and talks to the same uh Brazilian woman near the CN Tower, where it's like, have I met you before? No, I've met you already, and she's like, no. But that's like an authentic reaction because that what they do is they shot that scene first, right? So he's at first seeing, like, haven't I met you before? Knowing they're going to go back and try again and say,
Yeah.
it's like, welcome to Toronto. I'm going to go jump off the CN Tower now, which is probably why that reaction isn't as dramatic, where she's kind of like, okay, this guy's already talked to me and is kind of acting weird.
This guy's insane.
Yeah, this guy is
Yeah.
already a little crazy. He's already asked me if he's met me before, and then he's telling me he's going to jump off the CN Tower. Um, but yeah, but it works pretty seamlessly, and apparently that was a really hard scene to pull off because obviously, they need to try to keep as much of the logistics the same because it's supposed to be the same day, but in reality, they're obviously just going back and forth trying to film that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, what was what moment or what scene stood out to you the most? The Lafayette thing, obviously, but like maybe story wise
Yeah. Story wise? Oh,
or
I don't
joke.
know. That's a good
I feel like
question. Joke.
you can name one of the jokes that
Um,
really stood out.
oh, what was that bit? I mean, just their banter between each other, like the bit when he's always making songs, um,
Yeah,
when they kind of come back together and he gets on the drums and he's just playing as he's kind of riffing off the plan. That
yeah.
was so good. I love that. I just love how they, and I also think that it's really funny that we never once, really hear their music. I mean, the opening scene, I think,
No,
is
that's
also
the
one
whole
of my,
point. You never hear their music. Well, because
yeah,
the thing is, Matt can't really sing or anything, so like they're not really a band. Like Jay just can play the piano, and that's basically it.
yeah,
He's not even like a good like. I don't think Jay would even call himself a singer at all. Like the audio they put on to this, I feel like is not necessarily supposed to be good. I don't think he was
yeah.
like, I need to
He's a
really
good piano
impress
player.
people with that song. He's a great piano player. He's a very talented musician.
Yeah,
He did the whole score and everything, which I've listened to again, and like the way it like captured the beats and the feel of Back to the Future and the epicness of that, while also not being that, is very impressive.
yeah,
Allows them to create something similar, but definitely its own copyright
definitely.
protected thing, its own original thing. Um,
The
yeah,
the opening scene was another joke that was just so good, where he's talking about how they're going to be in the Rivoli and the lights are going to come on, and they're just going to be going wild. Like that's that scene was so good when, um, yeah, when he's just running over exactly how it's all going to go down. I was laughing, and it was you're so right about having to see it in a big theater because like the whole theater was laughing, and that just added to the experience so much because you're getting that reaction, you're getting that real moment with a bunch of other people that we often miss when watching movies nowadays. So that was definitely a good recommendation on your part to see it with other people who are also invested.
yeah, no, it's definitely the best way to see it. I mean, seeing it at the Midnight Madness premiere with like the
Yeah, that
entirety,
sounds so
that
cool.
whole Royal Alexandra filled up was awesome. Everyone was so enthusiastic for the
And
movie,
in
and obviously
Toronto
the
too.
yeah in Toronto too. So obviously like the excitement was pretty off the charts. Um, yeah,
Were they
that,
around for
that was
TIFF?
awesome. Yeah, they were there for a Q&A. The Canadian Tire Libertarian, the guy they talked to was actually at the premiere.
Yeah.
They brought him on stage during the Q&A,
Oh
which
yeah.
was funny.
So was that a real scene they just went into a Canadian Tire, or was that scripted?
I'm pretty sure they just went into a Canadian Tire and they just talked to him about this and filmed it and got his
I would
permission
love
to
to see all the
be
the
let them
random
film.
other footage they have.
Yeah, I think
Like I'm sure
that'll
they have.
be
hours
on the
of
DVD,
conversations with people. Yeah, fair. Just
which
just random conversations that were funny but didn't fit into the story.
yeah, no,
Yeah, that would be good to see.
definitely
And so
want
tell us
that.
about your chat with Matt.
Oh yeah. It was like pretty brief because it was like one of these roundtable things where there's only like a certain amount of time. So
Round
basically
table.
everyone could
Yeah.
only ask one question and there was like four other people. I basically just asked them about, you know, their in real life friendship and how that was kind of tested during this movie. Because obviously the way they shoot things, they shot like over 200 days in this movie because a lot of this thing they just like they shoot the film, but then they go back to the editing room, they see how it fits together, and if they're not satisfied with it, they'll go shoot it again or try to see if the thing that happened in real life can, like, the bit where the Canadian Tire guy says, you'll get electrocuted if you cut through this live wire, which then leads to the ending part where he brings out the pliers and is like, oh, you know, I have to electrocute myself in order to send the RV back in time. That I think that's probably something they might have reshot for that bit, and or like moments like that where like what happened in real life would kind of guide how they wanted things to go, or if they just weren't happy with it, they'd go ahead and reshoot it. Like or like the thing that happened in real life. I don't know if you know about this yet, but the big moment that usually stands out to a lot of people is when getting into spoilers, Jay shoots one of the
Oh yeah,
people in the coach bus uh,
that was a good
because he
bit.
thinks it's a video game, like an airsoft gun, and then he's on the run. So the CP24 footage that you see
It's at Drake's house,
is at Drake's house,
right?
where yeah, they just heard that there was a shooting at Drake's house, and they just drive there and start and like go into the press area being like, oh, we're independent press, and they were like, oh yeah, sure, you can come with your
Yeah,
cameras, and then they're filming Jay like kind of running up and down the sidewalk, and some people probably think, oh, he's being weird, but he's not a threat or anything. He doesn't look like the kind of guy that
that's why
would
he gets
drive
the
by
odd
shooting
look.
at Drake house. Yeah, but um you know that was definitely something I think that guided you know their efforts, and yeah, all those bits are awesome.
Yeah. No, one thing I thought was pretty cool is how they got Matt to sing on stage, and he just knew the band that was performing there, and or not Matt, sorry, what was his name?
Oh yeah, Jay knew the band that was performing at the Budweiser
Jay knew the
stage, and
band.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So he,
And then they
he
just got
just
him to go up there for a second, and he told the
yeah,
audience go crazy.
yeah. No, that was great. Like, that was it was awesome that was a part they didn't have to rely on CGI for, because obviously there's
Yeah.
a lot of editing and CGI tricks, but that's something that they didn't have to do one for. You know,
No, I
you know
think
we've
it's.
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think it's really just a testament to how much you can do as an indie film, like indie filmmaking, and I think that it's gonna stand out for years as something so innovative and something so cool. It's kind of like the Napoleon Dynamite, if you, in my opinion, it gave that sort of feel. It was very just sort of small. Um, Couple of guys had some funny ideas, and obviously it's a different style than Napoleon Dynamite, but they put together something super funny and something super unique, just as a couple of friends who wanted to do something cool. And I think that that's just what makes it so memorable is that you can feel the passion through the screen. You can feel that these guys are just being themselves and they're just having fun, and they're also happening to make a movie. And that anytime you see that, it's just so contagious. It's just you're always smiling. You have a big grin on your face. I love those kind of movies, and um, this is one of them for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about all this. We haven't even talked about them jumping off the CN Tower scene
Yeah.
where they manage they do manage to actually get a pair of pliers past CN Tower security, where he's just like, yeah, I use it to cut holes in my pants or something. and
Yeah.
that works somehow. And that leads into the whole
And
bit
that
where
was
they
real. They actually got that up.
Yeah, no, I like they at least got past security. I don't know if they like filmed something separate for like them in the waiting the skywalk area and everything, but they got through the security gate with those pliers. That like I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that they've said that was a real scene. Like that was something they talked about pretty honestly, because I think there was some other stuff which was even more complicated legally, with what they're doing. The idea, getting all those reactions of people thinking that they actually have like a giant extension cord going from the top of the CN Tower down to the street, and all those reactions. I think they had like a fishing pole, I've heard, that like would hold it up above them. So people are like, why is there a fishing pole holding an orange wire that these guys are walking around? So that's how they kind of got those reactions. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole other like movie slash doc slash, podcast to talk. You could have a whole podcast with them about each scene. I'm sure the commentary will be really interesting. Um, but yeah, again, incredible bits all throughout, and obviously, yeah, their dynamic is obviously very lovable. I was very used to it in some ways because obviously I loved the show before this, um,
Yeah.
which that they did for Vice, which is not really available right now, but you should definitely see it. I think Neon distributor in the States is going to re-release it. I hope Elevation will get the rights to it
There's
in
there's
Canada, even
a
though that might be more complicated.
there's a website that has it apparently.
There has been. I know there's been some changes. I'd have to double check, but I think we should eventually watch an episode of it. I think you know,
I've seen my roommate and I've watched clips of some of the episodes.
yeah,
Um,
no,
but yeah, no,
so
we definitely should go through some of them. And I'm hopefully one day that when they do come out with the DVD, there'll be like a collection set that also has the show as well.
I think that's what they're trying to do. I think they're just trying to figure out the rights issues because like Vice Canada
Yeah.
held those, but then Vice Canada kind of Vice went bankrupt, and so Vice Canada kind of didn't exist anymore. So I don't know how that all worked out legally, but I think they're figuring it out.
Yeah,
Um,
there's the Nirvana the Band the Show website. It has all the episodes on it.
yeah, I'll have to.
I bet you that's been up and down and it's not always there though.
Yeah, probably. Um,
And because they've gone and released some new episodes, haven't they?
not yet. They haven't released any new episodes since like I think 2017, but they have a season three of
Okay.
sorts in the work slash
It's
done. They
in
just haven't
the
had
works.
like the legal avenues to release it in a
Fair.
more proper release. So, yeah. I mean, other moments that stand out for me were the famous Jay montage. You got him as in place of Chris Rock on stage during the Oscars when Will is walking up to him. You got him on the James Corden show. Um,
If Anthony Fantano's.
the Anthony Fantano thing, which is great. Yeah, all the ads as well are pretty funny. Seeing him.
I thought it was all pretty good how they made it clear that they were in 2000 and what's it called 2008.
Yeah, those
The way
those
that they
bits.
emphasized that was quite
Yeah,
clever.
yeah. No, those bits are very funny. The hangover bit where the reason he finds out
Yeah,
that they're in 2008 is because people are laughing at a
because of what jokes
a
get what
homophobic
laughs.
slur.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, in that joke. So yeah, again, very very funny movie, very well constructed movie. I mean, I can't really say more than just good things about this movie. I love it. I've seen it, well, 5 times now.
yeah,
Um, you know, we too are Chinese. You know, we're
yeah,
gonna. I actually
yeah.
interviewed that guy. His name is Ethan Ing. He went to the same high school that Liv went to. And he made a
Oh, no
small
kidding.
movie while he was there called Therapy Dogs. And he did a music video for Joji recently. I don't know if you know who that is. The
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he did, yeah. And so he was in that movie. But I've
That's
gotten
pretty
to
cool.
interview him, had a podcast with him, and that was fun. So it was cool to see the bit that they kind of did with him, where they're all wearing the hats at the end. Also, when he comes back, very brief bit, but still, yeah, very
Yeah,
funny. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just it's a great movie. Its only flaw is that you can see like a stacked pancake house for like a split second as they run to their apartment, which did not exist in 2008. So inaccurate
Which did not
movie,
exist.
1 out of
Didn't you say they
10.
cut that out?
I thought they cut it down, but when I watched it with Liv, she definitely noticed it. I feel like it changed almost because like there's always theories about around this movie that like they were changing like the edits every once in a while. So like especially between festivals, they definitely did this. So any day of that you're watching this, especially at a festival, it seemed, or even between I think when it like premiered or was on a screener, that there was like different edits of the movie. I don't know if that was a factor to it at all, but um, there's definitely maybe a part of it.
One of the only thing that I thought sitting there thinking this is unrealistic is that they were able to go to 88 kilometers an hour in downtown Toronto.
Oh yeah, that part is yeah. They definitely want you to ignore the
As
fact that
as someone as someone
yeah,
who's driven in downtown Toronto many times, yeah, good luck.
you're just dying. Yeah, and that doesn't even
It usually
you know
takes you
account.
88 minutes to get across the city.
They also leave it ambiguous about if it's kilometers or miles because technically he's taking from
That's
Back to
true.
the Future, which would be in miles. But then he's like, "Is it kilo?" He's there's a bit where there is a point where he says, "Is it kilometers or is it miles?" And I think
Yeah.
they
I mean,
just
that'd
don't
be like
answer that on
140
purpose.
kilometers.
Yeah, which is I think the funnier way to take it is that yeah, they were driving 140 kilometers down Queen Street, um, away from the cops. Maybe at the end when
Yeah,
they have that more stage scene where that was the one where they shut down Queen Street to be able to film him like ripping the
yeah.
RV down with the police cars. Um, but yeah, uh, yeah, I just want to eventually see it again, see it with you, see it. What
Yeah.
show it to anyone who has not seen it. Basically, I think it's the perfect gateway into the
I
show I've loved so much. And
I got my parents to go watch it.
nice. So did they see it? They have seen it, or
They were fans. They did.
nice,
Yeah, they have.
awesome.
They really liked it. Yeah, even my mom loved it, which is always a win.
Yeah, no, I need. Yeah, so support Canadian cinema regardless of your
Yeah.
nationality. Obviously, if you're Canadian, a little more patriotic pride perhaps in this, but regardless, you should go see it. It's a great
No, it's
movie.
funny for
Yeah, for
everyone. I
anyone.
think
Yeah,
you could be from you could be from just about anywhere and you'd find this movie funny.
yeah,
If, I guess you have to know Back to the Future for it to really its full effect, but you could even see it without. Like, I don't think that would
yeah,
necessarily take away from the movie. I just think it would add to it if you know Back to the Future.
yeah. I think you'd just be like, oh, that's a clever way to show time travel. I'm sure they're the first guys to
Yeah.
ever do it.
Yeah,
Um,
what's that movie on the TV there they're watching?
yeah, Back to the Future. And oh, okay. Interesting. What's this niche film they're watching? I might have to check it out. Seems they might have been inspired. Um, yeah. I give this movie a 10 out of 10, 5 stars.
Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely agree. I don't know what more you could ask for.
Yeah. So if you count as a 2026 movie, it'll definitely be one of the hardest films to beat out for best of the year.
Yeah. I mean, hey,
Right.
Scream 7.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Actually, I don't
Um,
know yet. I haven't seen it yet. I'll get back to you later on that.
yeah. Speed, well, not too much speed, but we can go through some of the best picture nominees, maybe.
Yeah, just kind of briefly
So,
run through these.
yeah. So you saw Hamnet, which was, I think,
And that's
it's
fantastic
very stuck between that and Marty Supreme for my personal best picture nominee.
of the year.
I got very
Oh, best picture
emotional
nominee.
at Hamnet. Seeing in the theater with a lot of other
Yeah.
people who are also very emotional, probably added to it, but like that kind of communal experience, I think really adds to the experience of the last scene and that catharsis. Because that's something that's pretty unanimously praised. Obviously, it's very sad when um I guess sort of spoilers, but it's kind of the concept of the movie is that uh Shakespeare and his wife Agnes, who's the main character, have a son, Hamnet, who dies, who passes away, and then which is really only the middle point. The second half is then about them sort of having a little bit of conflict with each other, and then Will Shakespeare going off to write the play Hamlet, which is inspired by Hamnet to some extent. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, amazing performance. Jessie Buckley, quickly, Best Actress is something you
she's
don't
winning.
want to talk about. She's gonna win. She'll deserve to win.
Yeah,
Rose Byrne was really good in If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, but obviously I like Hamnet a lot more as a movie, so I'd personally definitely pick it to win. Yeah, it's great. Paul Mescal's great. I thought he was kind of snubbed, but there's a lot of other good nominees in that category, and he's been nominated before, so I'm not too mad. Um, the music is very good. Obviously, the use of On the Nature of Daylight, the Max Richter piece, who did the
yeah,
score for this whole thing. Very appropriate use of that song, though. It's been used in things like Arrival and a lot of other movies. Um,
yeah.
so it feels maybe repetitive for some, but it works very effectively in that moment. Um, yeah, every time me and Liv see Jacoby Jupe, you get a little emotional. So that
Yeah.
it it has a place in my heart for very good reason. What about you?
Yeah, no, I think you pretty well summed that up. It was very, very well done. And the colors were just so good too. I mean, the costumes were fantastic, and the contrast of the costumes, her red dress, just looked so good, and the scenes in the forest with the bird, I thought were so beautiful.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, no, I love the period pieces. As you know, Frankenstein is one of my faves of the year. I love these old when we go back into older England and things like that. I love the way that these stories look and the costumes and I mean I'm a huge Shakespeare fan. I mean I'm studying English in university, like I kind of have to be. So it was cool to see and it was very well done. And I really liked how you only hear his name at the very end, right? You know, I thought it was kind of annoying how the trailers um, were kind of emphasizing and use that scene in the trailers. It's William Shakespeare because I think it's something so powerful about the movie only focusing on Shakespeare in the final scene because it emphasizes how this movie's not about him.
Yeah.
This is about this is about other people. This is not his movie. This is about the story of Jessie Buckley's character and her son and so that is something that I think was so well done is how they took someone so famous and so influential and said, look, it's not always about him.
Hmm.
It's about the people in his life and his and the stories that he written and sorry the stories that he wrote came because of the experiences he had from the people in his life. And I think it's a really cool reminder of how storytelling doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's not just one person. It's a combination of their experiences and the people around them that lead to stories being written. And so that is something that was really interesting and special about this movie to me is that they didn't make it about Shakespeare, and they very well could have. I mean, it's called Hamnet. It's basically named after one of his plays, but no, they made it about Agnes and Agnes and her son, and that was really cool to me.
Yeah. Like I think it's like I trying to get away from like I guess the mythos behind Shakespeare, where it's about him like as a character, as a person who had a wife, who had a child, and who made art about it, regardless of how famous it came to be, is not really the point. I guess it's like sort of the selling point of both this movie and the book. But obviously, I think yeah, like you said, it's very much just about that family dynamic and that marital romance that builds
Yeah,
up in the first half and is challenged, especially in the second. I think Chloe Zhao's direction is incredible here. I think she does a masterful job with the framing, where I think she locks off the camera in the way that characters like are at the edge of the frame or like at the in the way they enter or exit the frame says so much about like does a lot of storytelling for you. Like like that one scene where like Paul is on the edge of the frame saying goodbye to Hamnet who's also on the other edge of the frame, and like kind of that separation and that space between them kind of being more
Yeah.
symbolic for what happens later on in the movie, where it's like, yeah, like, he's gonna disappear off the edge of the frame, and that's like the last time you're actually gonna see him. I like that it uses the frame as like I guess almost like in a play does, where like a character exits because they
Yeah.
exit stage left or they exit stage right, kind of thing, where like it's not just an edit all the time. It's like letting them, obviously they cut, but they let him exit the frame first before actually cutting, which I think
Yeah.
those moments, and I feel like, yeah, like characters being on the edge of the frame sometimes symbolize them like kind of being disconnected from one another, or like wanting to leave, or like kind of like blocking another character from experiencing something. I can't remember too many specific instances, but I just remember seeing that all the time. And, especially like, yeah, they have that moment where Hamnet is like lying down and he's dying, where he's like reaching up towards his mom, and then he comes back down and he leaves the frame, kind of again like kind of symbolizing like he's leaving this world. I thought like, and it teaches you how to watch the movie in the first half, where you're like, oh, you're like, I feel like Chloe's always
Yeah.
saying, pay attention to how people exit the frame. That means something, and then
Yeah.
it means something to the most important scenes in the movie. I thought that was an incredible use of direction, and that's why I hold this film in very high esteem. I thought Chloe Zhao did excellent directing. Um, she would be very worthy of an Oscar to me. She probably won't end up
Yeah.
with one, but
It'll probably be PTA.
she would deserve it. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. I think all the nominees this year would deserve it.
no, for sure. They're all very strong.
There have been years where there have been some pretty weak nominees, but this year I think just about everyone deserves their spot except F1.
Yeah,
No other choice replace F1, and we have a fantastic list.
or it was just an accident. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, for sure. Um, Train Dreams can leave too. I can
Yeah.
take it or leave it. Same with Begonia, to be honest, but I won't get can't win them all, really.
Can't win them all.
Can't win them all. In a perfect world, it was just an accident and no other choice in there, but we live in this world. What was the other one you had seen? Was there another one that you had seen?
I don't know.
No.
I don't think so. I've been
Okay.
going. It's been taking me a while to get through these Oscar noms, to be
Okay.
honest.
Let's maybe quickly go through some of the categories with our picks and predictions. I know, well, actually, we'll have to talk about, well, I guess you'll sign up yourself for the film.ca contest, but then I'd like to, you
Yes.
know,
Is
write,
it open now?
I believe so, yeah. But
Oh,
then
wonderful.
I try to keep everyone's predictions in the same place just to see, who comes out on top
Let's
amongst
see. Oh yeah, if you have a
some of my
list or
people.
something, I'll throw my predictions in there like we did for the what was
Yeah,
it, the Golden Globes.
I basically have that. I've had it for the past couple of years, so I'll send that. I'll work on sending that to you as we go through the categories.
Okay.
Best
Yeah,
picture,
yeah.
my pick is Hamnet or Marty
Are we
Supreme.
doing
Like, depends on the day.
our picks for what we want it to be or what we think it's going to be?
I think both. So I'm saying my pick first,
Okay.
which is what I want it to be, which is Hamnet and Marty
Okay.
Supreme. I mean, you kind of just, and then prediction, you kind of have to go with one battle. It just,
It's one about, yeah.
if Sinners does win, which there's a chance it will be one of the historic upsets, which doesn't happen all the time.
For me, my pick, I want it to be Frankenstein. I love Frankenstein. It's not going to be Frankenstein, not even close. It's going to be one battle and maybe, like you said, uh, Sinners.
Yeah. Best director. I think even if somehow Sinners pulled it off, PTA would still probably walk away with this. I think too much
Yeah.
of the directing branch and just people in general enough, I think, respect him. And One Battle has been kind of the directing move of the year. Like, again, not impossible for Ryan Coogler to win this, but I
Yeah.
think you have to kind of, when you're putting a prediction down, you have to say PTA. Um, I guess for this one, I mean, I just talked about how much I love Chloe Zhao's direction, so I kind of have to pick her.
Yeah. I would
As,
say that I think I want it to be Ryan Coogler, but Chloe Zhao, too, is definitely deserving. And then again, it's going to be Paul Thomas Anderson. There's no way. There's a couple locks this year, and I think the
yeah,
next big lock, I don't know what your list order is right now, but I think the next big block of absolutely happening is Jessie Buckley, and I think she
Yeah,
also deserves it. So I'm happy with that one.
yeah. Yeah, that's my pick and prediction out of the nominees for sure. Best actor. So this one is a little more conflicted. I
This is
feel
it.
like my instinct is to say that I did love Timothy. I thought Timothy Chalamet was really good in Marty Supreme, and he could win. But honestly, my gut says in my heart that I think Michael B. Jordan might end up taking uh, the win. So my prediction right now is Michael B. Jordan, with my pick being Timothy Chalamet.
It was did the Baptist change that or?
A little bit, but also the actor awards,
That's right.
the SAG awards. Michael B. Jordan did
Yes,
win, and
he did one
Oscar
there.
voting was still open. And like, not to play too much politics, but I think what did happen to him and Delroy Lindo at the BAFTAs, not that it will like be the reason people decided they changed their vote or anything. I don't know if it necessarily would have changed
Mhm.
their vote, but I think it created obviously more attention for him. Obviously not for the
Yeah,
greatest reasons, but and obviously the fact that he won at the SAG Awards, people are very excited for him. I think not like they I think they're both viewed as young actors, but I think obviously there's maybe the feeling that Timothy definitely will be back. Michael probably
yeah,
will, but maybe not with something as culturally dominant
yeah,
as Sinners, which is why I think he might end up winning.
yeah. I think it is very possible that he does win, but I really think that Timothy deserves it.
Yeah,
Um, and the reason I say that is because he was pretty much on screen for the entirety of Marty Supreme.
that's
You
fair.
know, and that is
Yeah.
not an easy thing to be so consistently strong. Again, not to say that Michael B. Jordan wasn't great. The fact that he's playing twins is like very cool, and I don't think I've
Mhm.
ever really seen that before. So if he does win, I'm not going to be upset because it's very close between the two of them. I think they both deserve it, and I think you're definitely right about how we all know Timothy's going to be back. You know, he's made it very clear this is what he wants to do and this is what he wants to get.
Yeah.
And
And
so
I
the
and I
academy
wouldn't be
might
surprised it
not.
sort of self-sabotages a little bit, where people are like, oh, if you want it so bad, we're gonna make you work a little harder for it.
Yeah, it's like the Leonardo DiCaprio
Yeah, maybe.
effect almost.
Maybe a little bit. Supporting actor. Uh, this one's a little, well, Sean Penn won the BAFTA and the actor award. Um, but I do think almost anyone could win because at the same time, you have the feeling
Yeah,
that maybe the entirety of the Academy doesn't like Penn enough as a person,
yeah,
especially. Maybe not the performance, but which surely will win a lot of people over. But I feel like a lot of people would prefer to give it to Skarsgård,
yeah,
even Jacob Elordi or Benicio del Toro. Oh, sorry, or Delroy Lindo. Honestly, I think he is a viable sneak pick because I think he has a lot of respect against Sinners. I think there's a lot of love for Sinners. Um, and I think, yeah, like he gave the speech at the Actor Awards. Again, he was on stage with Michael B when the BAFTA incident did happen. Um, I think he has a very good chance. I kind of gotta stick with Sean Penn though. It is a very strong performance. It's not unfound. It's also a best picture, probably our best picture winner.
yeah,
So like it feels a bit illogical to say that you probably you go with anyone else when he has those two wins.
yeah. I don't know. I haven't given the supporting uh, category enough thought to really know what to say, but my pick would be Jacob Elordi, and then I think my prediction is Sean Penn. Um,
Yeah, I think I'm
unfortunately,
with you on that one because I think Elordi probably would be my pick. I thought he was great. And
I
Sean
think it'd
Penn.
be so cool if he could win for that too. As you know, nobody expected that. I don't think. Uh,
No,
like when he picked up the what was it, the Golden Globe, that was pretty cool.
I think it was the Critics' Choice that he
Or
got.
the Critics'
Yeah,
Choice, that's what it
yeah,
was. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That was pretty cool to see. Yeah, I think he did a fantastic job, and I think he deserves it.
Um, Supporting actress. We got the top. So most people think Ilsa Inga Ipsdottir from and Elle Fanning from Sentimental Value are probably out of the race for the win.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like Ilsa is probably my pick. I thought she was great in Sentimental Value. She's definitely like a standout for me from that movie, and I think like yeah, she's very much a supporting actress, but she's also doing such a great job. Um, I mean, most of these are all more true supporting actress supporting performances. Penn is arguably a lead, so is Skarsgård. We'll not get into that, but
Yeah.
Elordi too. I
Oh, Penn
can't,
is.
I can't, I can't make him an
Yeah,
exception
he
from
kind
that.
of is as well.
All of them are arguably leads. Um, anyways, my prediction. This one could literally go anywhere. Amy Madigan did
Yeah.
win the SAG award. Wumi Saku won the BAFTA and Taylor won the Golden Globe. So it's very split. And obviously, Tiana Taylor maybe has some momentum being in one battle. You could say the same about Wumi Saku being in Sinners. But because statistically, Madigan's kind of the strongest, but she's in the movie with the least amount of Best Picture hype. Um, my gut kind of says Wumi Musaku. I think there's just something very
Yeah.
compelling about her performance, and the chance to award her, I think, is something that a lot of people jump off on. Though I could see it for Madigan too, because she's a veteran actor with a lot of respect, and she's obviously very good in Sinners, and that character has stuck with people.
Yeah. I think my pick is Amy Madigan. I want her to win. I think she was cool, and I always love when someone wins for a movie that's not a Best Picture nom and that's not not a big like an award-winning movie, especially a horror movie. It's always cool when horror movies can get any kind of accolades. But
Yeah,
I think you're right. My gut is also telling me that it's going to be Win Me. I think that you're right. Sinners has so much kind of traction, and she's also great.
yeah,
Really don't think Tiana Taylor should win.
right.
Maybe that's a slight hot take. I don't think her performance was nearly as good as Amy Madigan or Win Me. I just truly don't think so. But it's very possible she does win because again, like you said, there's momentum there.
Yeah. Um. All right. Original screenplay. I don't think this is too hard to think about. This will be Sinners. Though my pick
Yeah,
is Marty Supreme. I think that screenplay is excellent. Very good.
I think I would just agree with you there overall.
Yeah. One battle. Sorry, adapted screenplay. It's gonna be one battle.
It's gonna be one battle. Yeah,
It's gonna be one battle. Uh, what? My pick is probably Hamnet. What else is in? Why am I feel like I'm blanking on that. Well,
on the
what else?
adapted category.
Yeah.
Uh,
Trying.
there's Bugonia, there's Frankenstein, there's Train Dreams.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's probably yeah. I'd pick Hamnet as my pick, but I think it'll be one battle.
It'll be one battle. Yeah, we can probably just fly through some of these next categories here.
Yeah, like for your beloved Frankenstein will get. I'm pretty sure we'll get costumes, makeup,
Yeah,
production
it
design.
should.
Not any like strong debates. Avatar 2 will win VFX.
Yeah,
Um, K-pop Demon Hunters will win animated feature. It's
and
it's
probably
winning
Golden.
it's winning song probably. I guess I would pick I Lied to You. I like
Yeah, I think I
the
would
work there.
too.
Score is very much in Sinners
Yes, I
hands, I
agree.
believe. Cinematography is an interesting one. I don't want to put in my
Yeah,
predictions officially yet because there's still the American Society of Cinematographers who often align with the Oscars. So that could give us a sign if Sinners wins that, especially because I think the momentum is in Sinner. Like I think Sinners will overperform compared. Like if you had it only winning four awards, it probably would win at least five. Um, After SAG because I think it has the momentum to at least win one category it wasn't necessarily expected to win at first. Um, so I'm still waiting on that. I'm gonna stick with one battle for now. I got offered a free $10 bet to do that, so It was on the app where they were just like, oh, you can do a
Oh, there
bonus
you
bet.
go.
And I was like, oh, I'll just take one battle because it won the British Society of Cinematographers, which made me think, oh, it's probably going to win the BAFTA, which it did. So currently, it's kind of holding front runner status in that, and it'd be a
Nice.
good pick. It's good cinematography.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
editing, kind of also probably in one battle's hands. It won the American Cinema Editors Guild Award. Um, did it? I think it won the BAFTA for editing too. So those two combined is a pretty strong sign.
Yeah. And then international, maybe.
Yeah, I
Probably
think
Secret Agent.
I think it'll probably be sentimental value in the end, though.
Oh, you think so?
I think so. I think that has more momentum overall. People also aren't counting out the fact that Wagner Moura could sneak, like, it would be very unprecedented, but they're not counting out he could win Best Actor too, because he
That
just
is true.
was maybe underrecognized by everyone else, but he did win the Golden Globe. He beat Michael B. Jordan there. Obviously, that's a smaller non-Academy, and like no one in that group is part of the Academy. And it's a much smaller group than the Academy, but obviously it shows there's passion for his win. And Secret Agent did
Mhm.
pretty well in a lot of categories, picking up casting as well. So, but Samuel Value has like all the actors nominated. It had screenplay, it had
That's true.
director,
Yeah.
so it seems pretty strong for that. The short film categories are kind of a toss up. You can never really
Yeah.
know, frankly.
No.
But
Yeah, I think
sound
that's
will probably be
no
F1.
sound.
Could be one
Yeah.
battle. There's still some sound awards happening. Oh, and casting. I think it'll be Sinners.
Oh,
That's one
yeah.
I'm pretty
I think it
confident
will be Sinners.
Sinners
That's a
will
clear
win.
one.
Yeah, it won the ensemble award at the actor awards. That'll probably be a good sign. It has strength in that category, and obviously there's a lot of great actors in it being acknowledged. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Nice.
um, I'll make sure to share kind of the
Yeah, sure. All
sheet
the things I've
with
said
you.
right now are not my final lock-in, so
Yeah, of course. Um, yeah, we'll see. And there's always a little contest at
yeah,
our
the
local
local
theater
theater.
here in Oakville, which I did manage to win last year. Not that no, there's an element of luck into all these things, especially with the short film categories, because you're kind of like mindset is like, what is the most politically relevant short in the category, and you pick it because like that's how it's generally gone. But I know they sort of changed the system where they try to get people to like either have watched the film on the screening app they have for the Academy, or they have to click it off, which in theory is like, oh, you have to actually acknowledge that you watched it. So you have to clearly lie even more so that maybe guilt trips people into seeing more of it. But I'm sure there'll still be a bunch
Yeah.
of people who vote in the short film category having not seen all of them, as long as they've seen one that they kind of enjoyed. They might just
You know
say
what's
they
not
saw the
gonna
other
win?
ones to support them. What?
The Three Sisters. I've heard
In
so many people hating on that movie. An animated short film.
I've not seen the hate for that actually. Really? Why are people hating on it?
Oh, they're just I like I've just heard a lot of people saying that it's like almost borderline misogynistic.
Huh. Interesting.
But I haven't seen it, so I don't know. I just don't think that
Yeah.
it'll win. I'd be surprised if it did.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. But there are a couple of Canadian films, including Cry to Pearls, an animated short, and some documentary short. What is it called again?
I have
All
like
the
my gut
Strangeness or
says
something.
Butterfly will win.
Yeah, I also have Butterfly right now. Um, kind of makes the most sense. And then for short documentary, All Empty Rooms or All the Empty Rooms, which I think is about
Yeah,
documenting victims of school shootings in America.
yeah,
Feel like that'll
that will win.
definitely
Yeah.
And then for documentary feature, I currently also have Netflix winning that with The Perfect Neighbor. I feel like Netflix, like one of these is not going to win, either All the Empty Rooms or Perfect Neighbor. They're both talking about gun violence in America. They're both Netflix. I mean, actually, maybe both of them could win, but it feels like that kind of film sometimes is too prevalent, and so people vote for other stuff because they're like, okay, this thing already has a platform. I don't know if that's the
Yeah.
mentality people go in with it, but that's my current pick. Though there is also Mr. Nobody Against Putin, which is like a teacher kind of revealing what is being forced to teach to support the Russian government and kind of, I guess, his pushing back against it.
Yeah.
That won the BAFTA, so that could win too. Anti-Russia movies win often. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, well, but we'll have to see. So yeah, those are some of our Oscar picks and predictions. I think we're pretty much at the end of what we have to talk about, unless there was anything else. We
Yeah.
haven't gone through news, but
No,
I feel like Oscars is the main
yeah.
like news thing
Yeah, that's the
happening
main thing right now.
lately.
Yeah.
Um, I guess I quickly recommend you can to go see Hoppers. I thought it was me and Liz saw that last week at like a early screening. It was a lot of fun. So it's a good Pixar movie. So
Hoppers. Oh,
yeah,
cool.
I
Oh
feel
yes,
like
I've heard about this. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, if it manages to come to Disney Plus before camp starts, I feel like that'll, well, at least it'll be shown
Yeah.
at day camp. I don't know if it'll
Yeah.
have much. I don't think it'll be like K-pop Demon Hunters,
It
where
won't
it's
be the
just
next
like
Demon Hunters.
I don't think so because I don't think it'll connect with older kids as
Yeah.
much, but there'll still probably be some who like it. I don't think it'll be like I don't know. I don't know what it is about K-pop Demon Hunters that made older kids like it too. Maybe it's just that fact that K-pop is a very enjoyable genre for all, and that like the Demon Hunters aspect of it makes it a little more edgy, so it's not just cute and cuddly like Hoppers is kind of trying to be. Because I guess some kids will probably be like, I'm too old for these cute animals. I don't need to care about them.
Yeah.
Like too kiddie of a movie. Whereas like Demon Hunters, whoa, that's you can't call that kiddie. It's demons. But
Yeah.
kids saw it anyways, obviously. So it's not kiddie at the same time. Kids saw it and loved it. So, but yeah, I would recommend Hoppers.
Fair. That's a good rec. I don't know if I'd have a recommendation. Uh, does it have to be a new movie? Because I would
No.
recommend that everyone go and watch. Okay, you know what I'd recommend? It's a documentary called FTA. It's an anti-war doc
Okay.
from Vietnam War. I think it was very cool. It was done by David Sutherland and what's her name? Uh, Jane Fonda. And it's just this traveling group of performers and entertainers who go around and they just do skits and songs and things um, during like the height of the Vietnam War. And it's like real footage of real things they did and then filmed and put together in a documentary. And it's actually banned by Nixon when it released because he hated it so much.
Oh,
And then it's only recently resurfaced. And you can actually watch it on YouTube. You
huh.
can find it on YouTube. There's even an introduction done by Jane Fonda where she talks about what it meant and gives a little bit of context.
Right.
Yeah, it's great. It was fun. It's catchy music and, I guess relevant still.
Yeah. No, for sure. Um, have you been watching any TV shows lately?
Uh, Not really.
That's fair.
Yeah,
Um,
I was trying to get through the Sopranos, and I'm gonna be honest. I finished season one, and I got about halfway through season two, and then I just started to slow down.
dude, the same thing happened to me. That's the exact thing that happened to me.
Yeah,
I finished season one, got through a little bit of season two, and then I just kind of stopped. I don't know.
yeah.
Anyways, yeah, me
Oh
and Liv
well.
have been watching the
Yeah.
Pit mainly. That's been
Oh yeah, the new season.
yeah, it's been good.
Is it as good as the first two?
It's not like yeah, the first season I think is stronger overall, but maybe because it's like the format is less novel and new compared to obviously the first season because it's doing a lot of the same things and is doing them well. And I think it's being a little less dramatic at this point, but it's also hard
Hmm.
because I think the thing that would make it more interesting is getting into some of the more interpersonal relationships of the characters, but it's hard to do that when the whole format of the show is, they're in an ER, so they don't have that much time to talk to each other about their feelings or whatever. They have to keep helping people, because that's what would realistically
Hmm.
happen. Like the last episode just
Yeah.
revealed that they're going to deal with a water slide collapsing because I don't know. It's a little funny how everything is. So it's July 4th, the day that this season is set, and it's funny how just all
Hmm.
the injuries are kind of summer July 4th themed in a lot of ways. Like there's a guy who was sick from eating too many hot dogs. There was someone at a furry convention this past episode. There was
Yeah.
a kid who shot his fingers off because of fireworks, all that. And now there's
Yeah.
because it's summer, there's a water slide that collapsed, so that will be interesting.
Yeah.
Someone's dead apparently, which is not nice. Which also implies that
Yeah.
the other people injured are probably not in a great space. So
No, probably not.
yeah, but that's the drama of the show. Will these people be okay? I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah.
um, all right. Well, I guess we should go ahead and say this is the end of our podcast
Yeah.
today. So thank you so much for listening, watching, everyone. Again, I've been here with my friend Spencer Peck, and this has been the Dead Film Critics Society podcast, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.